Are you struggling to find the proper tools to do a murder? Are you constantly being spotted by your intended victim? Well, come on down to Wild Jim's Psycho Murderer's Tool and Hide-a-Bush Emporium. We've got everything you need to do a murder. We've got knives, we've got rope, we've got masks of all your favorite creeps. Need to hide behind something innocuous? Try our line of conveniently placed suburban bushery. Not big enough? Bring down the very essence of winter and hide amongst the blizzarding snow with our line of holiday-themed sorcerer's incantations. Doing a murder? Think of Wild Jim's Psycho Murderer's Tool and Hide-a-Bush Emporium. Do murder the best. We watched Halloween and Krampus.
Thank you, Sean. That's an awesome intro this week. So good to jump into it. Welcome to Citizen Kane Versus, where we compare a widely considered great movie with a movie that is considered to be more on the schlocky side, and we ask ourselves honestly, which is better? My name is Jack Rennie, and I'm joined by my two friends,
Sean Jacqueline.
And our other good friend,
Daniel Benoit.
There it is. Always a winner. And this week we reviewed, as part of our spoopy October Halloween movies, we have it's a holiday themed pairing this week from Dan of the classic Halloween versus Krampus.
Although I will point out that Halloween is not an official holiday, Daniel. So
that's true. We don't get it off, but it's like
we're doing literally an entire Halloween month.
Yeah,
you can eat shit, Sean.
That's fair. That is fair.
It's a holiday in that, like, it's a shared event in our society, at least, where people do a big thing. I'd say it's more. I consider it more of a holiday than like Labor Day.
Yeah.
Just because you get a day off doesn't mean it's like more of a holiday. Whatever.
Well, and people celebrate it. People dress up. There's food involved. It's definitely a holiday.
To Citizen Kane Versus, where we debate the holidays and rank them.
So yeah, I think it was. I liked this pairing, Dan, this week. I had a fun time.
Thank you.
And I had a fun time considering the fact that, as it's maybe known by now, that I don't like scary movies. I don't do well with them.
Although I don't know that I would classify either one of these films as scary.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. They're definitely in like the spoopy. We're using that word the entire month.
The spoopy realm.
The spoopy realm, but they're not like scary, and they're not. Neither of them are like gory, which usually like gore doesn't really bother me. But like, these movies could both have a PG-13 rating, and I think Krampus intentionally did so. Like, I don't think it was like, you can, by how I kind of caught on in the first like half of the movie. I was like, ooh, they're going for, is this? I didn't check the rating, but I was like, is it PG-13? Because like a lot of things aren't shown, or you see just like enough of something you can imagine that like they could get away with a lower rating.
There's no foul language, really.
No.
No blood. Yeah.
Nope. Yeah, no blood. Like,
except when he shows his leg. Yeah.
Yeah, that one time. And again, you can imagine with the PG-13 rating where they might be like, you get one time.
Yeah. I wasn't really sure what Krampus was going for, but hearing you guys talk, I kind of feel like it was meant to be a horror movie for children.
Or like the family.
Kind of.
Like maybe. But I think it was also supposed to be a bit of a comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
It's listed as like a comedic horror,
like a comedy
movie.
Fantasy horror film.
Yeah.
But I didn't really get the comedy. I just got like the comedy actors.
Right.
My first note was that they have this whole opening sequence of, it's like a montage with Christmas music of people fighting over presents and stuff.
Which is brilliant, by the way.
It's fun, but like, I enjoyed it. But I was like, I think they meant for this to be funny. And it's like a good intro, but it's not funny. Like, I'm not. That was just my opinion.
I thought it was pretty funny. Like, it's not. It's not laugh uproariously funny.
No,
but it's like, I see what you the social commentary you're making there about the commercialization of our family holiday. Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, I was like, gross commercialism for sure, though.
Yeah.
I guess for context, we should probably give a brief synopsis of this film before we move forward, guys.
Yeah, like, so they know that it's like during Christmas
stuff. And
Okay.
Take it away.
Cool. So I'll take that. So, I prepared a little blurb for you. When, over Christmas dinner, young Max Engel is bullied by his stupid, shitty cousins into not wanting to believe in Santa,
Yep.
he tears up his letter to old Saint Nick and throws it out the window, an act of disbelief and lack of hope in Christmas that inadvertently summons the ancient Christmas demon Krampus and his army of pagan elves and possessed Christmas toys to literally kill everyone on the street and turn some people into snowmen? That's all I got.
Yep. That is what essentially what the movie is. It's pretty weird, and I'm glad you touched on right away that it starts from the son of the main kid that we follow in the movie, tearing up this letter to Santa because his family isn't they're not being a good loving family. They don't get along. That his parents don't love each other. His aunt and uncle don't seem to they're also sort of connected, but they fight too much, and the cousins are mean to each other, and yada yada. And no one's nice to the nice old woman to their grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, everyone on their street seems to be killed, random people. I'm but what did they do? Maybe they love Santa.
Yeah, I didn't really understand what the point of Krampus was supposed to be, because in the folklore that the character is based on, he is supposed to kind of tag along with Santa and punish the bad kids while Santa rewards the good kids. But in this movie, he was just the ultimate bringer of destruction.
Yeah.
To everybody. I was also wondering how far-reaching the effects of his arrival were. Yeah. You know what I mean? Was it just the street they lived on? Was it the entire world? Did this kid cause the apocalypse?
Yeah, that's vague. I wondered, is the army just outside of this blizzard bubble that Krampus has created, and they can't get in, or something like that?
Yeah, this movie would have benefited from a B plot that is maybe someone else in the family, or someone connected to the family or whatever, that is, as you say, outside of the bubble and trying to get in and save them.
That would have been cool.
That would have been a cool B plot that this movie. I mean, it's nice that it's pretty focused on the characters. I mean, there's a bunch of these family members, and it manages to focus on them pretty well. But I hear it's a good question, but maybe it's not worth really asking.
Thanks, Jack.
No, but I mean, I don't know if it really.
Good question, but probably not worth asking.
Daniel,
it's
when
a good question, but a stupid question.
Yeah,
really.
When they say there are no stupid questions, Daniel, you just proved that wrong.
We're not talking about you, Daniel.
Yeah. I'll give a quick little synopsis of Halloween while we got this moment. Halloween, the first movie in what are there, 12, 13 films of this?
85.
I think there's about 97 of them, yeah.
Love it. 2 of them are good, I'm sure. It centers, we find out Michael Myers murders his sister brutally in 1963 because he's watching her maybe have sex with her boyfriend, and he hates that, so he stabs her. Flash forward to the late 70s. He escapes from the mental asylum where he's being held, and at the same time, our protagonist, Laurie, is selling his old family home. He sees her, he latches onto her, and one by one he starts murdering all of her friends over Halloween night. And then in the end he has the standoff with Laurie, and he is shot and stabbed a whole bunch, and then he vanishes into the night.
You want to just repeat that last part? Your screen froze a little there.
Okay.
After they had a big standoff, and then what, Sean?
Laurie had a big standoff with Michael Myers, and he is shot multiple times, stabbed in the eye, and he disappears in the night because he is also the incarnation of pure evil.
Right.
Yeah.
I kind of wish, though, that it was Mike Myers instead of Michael Myers. Just Austin Powers in a mask. Would have been great.
Canadian comedian Mike Myers.
Yeah. Goes on a killing spree in the late 70s.
Yeah.
Where's Halloween set? Is it just
Illinois?
Haddonfield, Illinois.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I even wrote that down. Way to look at your notes. Dumb.
Good job, Sean.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even really a killing spree. He kills 3 people, right?
Yeah. That's a spree.
That's a spree.
I don't know. I imagine
I
a
don't know
killing
if I'd call that a
spree.
spree in my
I imagine a
opinion,
killing
right?
spree involves like 5 or more people spread over a larger geographic area.
Why 5?
It just sounds like a nice full number. I don't know.
Oh,
Right.
okay. Well,
Right.
3 seems like more of an isolated incident as opposed to a spree, which it kind of was because it was a cluster of houses. It was 2 houses across the street from each other.
I think it's also a regional. I think each region is allowed to set their definition of spree. So maybe here in Canada, you're going off of a 5 number, but in Haddonfield, Illinois, it's a 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they refer to it in the movie as a spree?
I don't know.
And
bitch.
and just a reminder, he did actually kill at least 4 people because he also killed the mechanic or whatever it was that he got his overall onesie from.
Yeah.
Oh right, yeah.
And
I
so
forgot about that.
I think we can assume that like at least 4 he maybe killed people to escape. Is possible. Like I think
Yeah,
Dan,
his
he's done
escape-
enough for you to qualify it as a spree. I
Okay,
just
it's
think
like a
he's
mini
earned it.
spree. It's like a mini spree.
Fine, a mini spree.
Speaking of his escape, though, that was super vague. So what?
Yep.
So they show up, and it's the idea that he's already like broken down the gate of the front of this asylum, and now there's just crazy people wandering around aimlessly, or
something happened. We don't know exactly, but like probably
I mean that would have been a
him,
nice detail to know
because he is the incarnation of pure evil.
Yeah, and this is the difference that I want to get to right away between these movies. So we see like the remnants of an escape, just because as in the movie they have some people in white robes like wandering in a field, and that's how we know that they've gotten out from the asylum. And that is, this movie does have a B plot of like the doctor who has been trying to. He says that for 8 years he tried to connect with the young Michael Myers, but there was like nothing there but darkness. And like no connection to good and bad and evil and life and death and stuff. And then for the last 7 years after that, he's been trying to just make sure that he stays locked up. And so the doctor is going with this nurse to the asylum because they're going to relocate him, right? And then they get there and they see all these people around and they realize there's been some sort of breakout and like the gate is broken. Like a lot has happened.
Yeah.
And it's some of the early instances that we see in this movie where like one of the patients, is it supposed to be Michael Myers jumps on the car? That's
Mike Myers.
Right, it
Michael
is
Myers,
him because then he takes the car. He jumps on the car, and then she hears that, and she's like, "What?" And they're like at this asylum, and she immediately rolls down her window to be like, "What is it up there?"
Stupid mistake number 1 in the film.
And that is, I just want to touch on this right away. The ongoing thing of Halloween, it is so bad for that like old trope of like people in horror movies doing things that you just infuriate you because you're like, what are you doing? Whereas I will say with Krampus, it has much less of that. It's much more people doing things that you're like, yeah, that's like and people making mistakes, sure, but that's fine. That's a different thing. But like in general, the people in Krampus are doing things that you're like, yeah, you boarded up the windows and then you stayed put and stuck together most of the time.
And to further that point, any time that a character does something like take the extra moment to say that catchy line that's going to sound really cool before they kill the bad guy, they shouldn't have taken that extra time. The bad guy escapes, and then they're left failing miserably.
Yeah.
And that happens a number of times where they go for the cool moment and it ends up failing because they took that extra time.
In Krampus, you mean?
Yeah, in Krampus.
Yeah. Like I can think of at least one time where someone's like, "Give me back my son," and then like goes to swing an axe, but because they waited, the thing gets away.
Did you start the timer?
Oh my God, no! But I can take some time off.
Jack, have you done this podcast before?
Yo, it's like an extra thing, you know.
Okay, good one. So the timer, we've noticed that our podcasts have been running a little long lately, so we're trying to restrict ourselves. So we now have a timer that'll go off in an hour 15.
Yeah, so I decided for an hour. At
which point we will enter into our lightning round of likes and gripes. So the timer's running?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, well.
So do we want to talk about one of these movies first? Like, which one are we feeling?
Who watched What in what order?
I did Halloween, then Krampus.
And Jack?
I did Krampus, and then the first third of Halloween last night, and the last 2/3 this morning.
All right.
Oh my God! Well, I mean, I just watched Halloween, so we can talk of Halloween first,
Sure.
maybe because it's fresh. But also, how was that experience watching a third of a horror movie last night and then the rest today?
It was fine. It was fine. Like, again, it was getting like I preferred to watch a spooky movie in daylight.
The word is spoopy. Thank you.
A spoopy movie. I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
In daylight, so I didn't mind doing that in the morning. I didn't because I had to do it pretty late, but it just made sense to watch like 30 minutes before going to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I would have been up to like almost 2 watching this spoopy movie.
And then up till like 4 just shivering in your bed, right?
Yeah. And like, as we said, Halloween like is really not that scary, but I didn't know how scary it was going to get last night. So
right.
I was like, I'm just not going to risk it. I got time. I can spend an hour doing that. So it was fine. And like with a movie like Halloween, like it doesn't try and ramp up too much. It has a pretty like monotonous pacing through it, where it's a lot of like, look, she's walking down the street again, and you're like,
great.
And they do a good job of making that scary. I made a note of that. I admired this movie for making some as many creepy daytime choices as it did. I was expecting to be like the nighttime stuff is less scary. I actually think like the stuff during the day where he's following her around from school because she's a teenager.
Introducing Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, as a 37-year-old teenager.
Yeah, exactly. She's just like definitely in her 20s, which is just whatever. But he's like,
no, but
he's
I
following
agree.
her around, and it's creepy. And like they have one shot. They do it again, like these like long shots of people just like walking down the street. And you're like, I kind of realized like, oh, you're just like padding your runtime a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, eh?
But there's the first time they do
They're
it.
shooting on film, man. They're shooting on film. You got to have longer shots.
But some of them worked. Like there's a shot where Jamie Lee Curtis is like walking on the sidewalk after she said bye to someone or whatever, and she's like singing a song, and then you kind of like see they do these shots where you see just Michael Myers' shoulder in the side of the frame, and like he's just like standing watching her, and you can like hear a bit of his like behind the mask breathing, and it's like this long, it's just like seeing him standing there very still watching her, and she's like still singing to herself for like a good longish shot was I thought really cool. But then other times it's like, oh, you just like played your theme music over these kids walking down the street again.
My first note is soundtrack is dope as fuck, because it's just the opening, the credits, the opening are just the jack-o'-lantern with the credits going, and that pretty cool like piano synthy
whatever it is.
So I was like, oh, this is right, this is a John Carpenter film. His soundtracks are always really like unique and like add to the atmosphere that the movie's trying to make. Then I realized they'd only written 2 songs for the entire film.
Yep.
And we got one of them every fucking time Michael Myers appears on screen. And by the end of the film, it was just comical because you get the little ding, 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 ding piano thing going. And you go, oh, well, here comes Michael Myers.
Yeah. That was, I mean, it's funny that you do the derp, derp, derp thing, because that's honestly how I felt by the end of the movie. It felt like a fucking circus show. It was so ridiculous. I found that this movie had me totally gripped right up until you see young Mike Myers stab her. And then as soon as you see that awful, awful choreography,
you were gripped for a total of a minute and a half.
Of like 2 minutes and 13 seconds. I was on the edge of my seat. I was floored by how creepy the opening was with that long POV shot of following the kid through the house. I thought it was brilliant. And then as soon as I got a sense of what the violence choreography in this movie was going to be like, my brain just turned off.
And and I thought the same thing. I was like, this was all one shot. That's pretty cool. But then like the point of view shot follows this person that's stalking the house at night into the house. And then the guy of this teen couple comes back downstairs, like doing up his shirt and whatever. And I was like, oh wait, they're already done sex?
Yeah, he was real quick.
He had to go. He had to go
like real quick. And then goes upstairs, and it feels kind of creepy. You see this person pick up the mask and put it on, and then it cuts to this camera behind the mask eyes thing, and then this ADR like Michael, 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 and then like it literally has to like look up to show a hand like waving a knife, and then the camera moves back, and she's smeared like red ketchup on her boobs, because of course there are a bunch of boobs in this movie, because I forgot that horror movies are also like perverted, but
right.
And like that's the beginning of the movie, and I was like, okay, I don't have too much to be scared of.
No.
Yeah.
Like, and
although I imagined through the entire movie, I just imagined audience members of 1978 losing their minds over this movie.
Right.
Like by our standards, this movie is a joke. It's laughable, but I mean, for the franchise to have survived this long, it must have been the scariest thing to hit cinema at the time. It was one of the original slasher movies, right? It was one of the first movies of the genre to really kind of set the terms.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it suffers for being the first film to do these things, because now we're so used to everything that it set forward.
Totally.
That when we watch the source material, we're like, okay.
Yeah, like just to fill this in, I came across this because when looking for the movie and stuff. So it was made on a budget of $325,000.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Sounds about right,
so
it's
cheap.
just like it's just like a couple like house shooting locations and some like very amateur actors.
And clearly they didn't pay anybody to write a script. So
no. And it made 70 million worldwide.
Yeah.
Compared
so
to that.
there's your reason for all the sequels.
That's
because the money's there. Yeah.
Why would they not just keep doing them?
No.
Like that's a crazy amount of profit.
Yeah. Now is that you said 300 million or 30 million?
70 million.
70 million.
Where did I get that number from? Is that 70 million then, or is that 70 million adjusted for inflation?
Then. So that's not.
Like,
I haven't adjusted.
That's like 4 billion today.
Yeah, I think that's like $8 trillion now. Yeah. So like it clearly made an impact on people. People were super taken with this film.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the actual like horror, like again, it's mostly just like man in mask stands still, and once he starts doing things, it's like
even when he's not doing things, I wanted so much more from the physical acting of this guy, because more often than not, I got creepy pervert versus psycho killer.
But I think he's supposed to be a bit of a pervert. Like,
totally. But there was maybe once where we see him and I thought he was actually scary. For the most part, he just kind of stands awkward. Like his movements are clunky and awkward.
Yeah.
And it seemed like they were really going for like the brain dead, just operating purely on instinct kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Like, and you know what I mean? As opposed to like someone who is more calculated. I don't know. There's something about his character that felt like they were relying too heavily on just a big guy in overalls.
Yeah. And conveniently placed bushes for him to step behind when he needs to hide.
and also just be a ninja sometimes.
Yeah.
Where there's like one occasion where Jamie Lee Curtis sees him out the window of her classroom and he's standing next to his car, and she looks out twice and he's there, and the third time he in the car is gone, and it's like, damn, that was a real fast turn on the car and drive away.
There's one time where she looks out the window and sees him, and then she
with the sheets
and she
like
stays looking out the window,
and he just disappears.
He just disappears.
So because he's pure evil.
Because he's magic apparently as well. So and he also seems to have a magical power to control doors and make them open and close as he needs them to make a situation more spoopy. That's so whatever that is, because that happens multiple times. The doors in this movie are ridiculous. It's like this one gets stuck easily, and like Jamie Lee Curtis can't open the back door to the house because a rake was leaning against it, I think was the justification near the end of the movie. There's weird stuff.
Do you remember the scene where she gets stuck trying to climb out the window and she's just in her panties and her shirt?
Oh, yeah. The friend.
And then the little girl comes in and just kind of yanks on her ankle, and suddenly and she's like, "Don't tell anybody about this." Yeah.
And then her boyfriend called. She's like, she's stuck in the window. And she's like, give me that. He's like, you're stuck in the window, huh?
Yeah, that actor was, I think, the worst part of this movie.
Like Elaine, or is that what her name was?
Yeah, she was.
Oh,
I wrote down. I was like, please,
Annie.
I was like, please kill the brunette. Please.
Oh.
She is.
Oh yeah, I guess
awful.
I wonder if they were just trying to really lean into like the ditzy kind of airhead girl that gets murdered in these horror movies.
Well, because they definitely like Annie is Annie and what's her other Lindsay? I think
Lindsay is the little girl. I think.
Yeah, because she goes Lindsay.
Who's the other? Oh yeah, who's the other friend?
The one who shows up randomly with her boyfriend to start having sex in the bed.
Oh, we're going to talk about that
house?
scene. We're going to talk about that scene, but her two friends do fit. That friend is the stupid ditzy. She has a whole monologue that she clearly improvised about. Like, well, books are great when you have books, but you don't need books because sometimes books don't have the information you do because books are books and books. So like they're setting her up as being the ditzy one, and then I think they tried to set Annie up as the like strong independent woman that doesn't need help from other men and therefore gets punished for that by being murdered kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed her classic line, I hate a guy with a car and no sense of humor.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of her lines. I think my brain literally just blocked out everything that she did in this movie.
I was very relieved when she finally died. She had way too much camera time in this movie.
But you talk about you were relieved when she died, but none of the deaths in this movie were satisfying. None of them.
The dude getting killed was like maybe the most effective one that they did.
Which dude?
You
mean the guy who he holds up with one arm and chokes to death, and then
You're evil.
And then stabs him with a butcher knife and holds his body in place on the wall.
Pure evil.
Yeah. Yes.
That's not how knives work. I have in my notes. Nope.
Pure evil.
That knife is not holding that body up.
No.
Gripe.
They do, when they're held by the magic of pure evil, they do.
Yeah, I noticed. I was like, I don't think a knife is through him enough to penetrate the door, also to hold up a body, it doesn't make any sense. But it was like the most effective, definitely murder in the movie, in my opinion. No question about it.
Can we walk through that scene, the logic there? So, friend whose name we can't remember.
That's a funny word to use at this movie.
Arrives with her boyfriend to the house where their friend is babysitting to see if they're home. No one is home. So they start fooling around on the couch. Fine. The next scene we see them, they're in a stranger's house. Is them in the master bedroom having sex and just throwing pillows and like ripping blankets off.
Yeah.
Oh, my favorite part too is the fact that the phone rings and he's like, I'm gonna get it. And she's like, don't get it, you might get Annie in trouble. And I'm like, do you mean more trouble than she's going to be in for you fucking up this room and smoking in the bedroom?
Right?
But then, yeah, Shaw. Then they finish sex, and then she says, fantastic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then he goes to get beer from the fridge of the home they've invaded. And that's when he's murdered. Yeah.
They've also left beer cans all over the carpet.
Yeah. The door magically opens. And then
yes, and he is standing there in a sheet. Michael Myers. After murdering the guy.
Yeah.
He comes to murder her, and he's just got a sheet over his head
with the other guy's glasses over top of the sheet.
You know what's funny though? That was the only time in this movie where I was able to kind of get any kind of character depth out of Michael Myers.
Actually, though,
with the sheet on his head.
With the sheet on his head, yeah. Because obviously, I don't know. They obviously the day of Halloween holds some significance for him. Yeah. So for me, it was like, maybe some of the motivation is that he's like locked in that 6-year-old brain.
Well, yeah.
Right.
I don't know what it was about it, but there was something very interesting about seeing him do that one act of like throwing on a costume, but not saying or doing anything with it, just like wanting to be in a costume.
And I think you could pair that to, at the end of the movie, he freaks out when Jamie Lee Curtis, struggling with him, pulls off the mask he's been wearing, and he panics and wants to put it back on. I think that's the other moment, as you say, where you get a bit of a hint as to what's going on with this villain.
Yeah.
But I also will kind of use that to link back into the point you were making before, Dan, of like the movie doesn't really make clear whether or not, as you say, is this the like empty, almost animal like, just like focused on predatory behavior only, or is this a sinister pseudo mastermind? Because the doctor says like, don't underestimate him. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know.
And it's not clear. That's for sure.
There are very few clear things in this movie. I also wasn't sure why he had decided to follow Jamie Lee Curtis. What was it about her?
She was at the house.
Yeah, walked up to his old house, and maybe she like looks like his sister. I think they're supposed to be like both be blondes or something. I don't know. They don't say.
I also just want to point out that in a suburban area, murder or not, no house is staying boarded up and abandoned for fucking 15 years before someone tries to sell it.
I mean, it's a murder house.
That stuff does happen.
Murder houses get sold, man.
Sure, but this one doesn't.
I hate
Evil.
you.
Well,
spoopy.
Spoopy. It's a spoopy house.
But I would love to talk about the violence a bit more in this movie, and describe it a bit, because it is ridiculous. This movie, Michael Myers tries to choke people multiple times, and this movie doesn't understand that choking means that you need
to cut off the airway. You need to apply enough pressure.
Whereas we have this long sequence where he sneaks into Diane's, whatever her name is, brunette's car, and then he finally grabs her, and he's grabbing her by the neck, and she's making just gasping sounds for a long time, like clearly capable of breathing, until he waves a knife next to her, and then she crosses her eyes and slumps down.
Everyone crosses their eyes when they die in this movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, did he? And this is my question again. I guess I'll get into this with Krampus too, where I'm like, wait, did he just kill her?
Mm-hmm.
Like what? I mean, I have to assume that's what happened, but I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of assuming.
My new theory after hearing the budget for this movie is that there literally was just no money for blood effects, so they had to just mime the motions and hope that people got it.
Yeah,
and they did.
But even
I guess
he stabs the guy enough with the knife, as we say, that he pinned him to a wall, like hanging off of the wall, and then I guess moves the body because Jamie Lee Curtis comes to the house
finds
later,
him upside down,
and he's been moved upstairs into a closet and whatever, in some sort of release mechanism to make him swing down in a spooky way. But there's no like. So did he also clean the blood from where? Like there'd be blood all over the house. I guess it's dark, but there would be like, anyway, it's just.
I mean, he did only stab him once.
Oh, well, sorry, fuck me then.
Yeah, and people don't start bleeding until like the third or fourth stab, right?
Right. Yeah. It's like when you open like a can of something, you gotta get the airflow. Like you gotta have the release of pressure.
It's
through
exactly the
holes.
same.
It's like a milk bag.
I was going to say like a can of maple syrup, but I didn't want to alienate any of our non-Canadian listeners. They'd be like, "What?
A can of maple syrup?
Milk
or like an old like
alienates
apple
them
juice
too.
used to come in those cans, and you'd pop a hole in two sides of it."
Oh, it still does.
Yep.
Yeah, that's so. there we are.
And then
he murders the last woman in his ghost sheet by strangling her with a phone cord. Which I don't think, which I question. I just question that.
But he's pure evil, Jack.
Yeah,
and
pure evil.
Very strong.
Oh. So having your antagonist just be pure evil, maybe in the 70s was like spooky scary, but right now is just cheap and bad.
Oh yeah, I just have generic evil in quotes killer. No backstory except he's insane and turns out to not actually be that dangerous.
Yeah.
But is magic and invincible now.
Magic and invincible, but also can be easily defeated with like minimal effort.
Like with pokes to the eyes.
With pokes to the eyes and getting stabbed in the neck with a hanger.
And shot 8 times.
And
I
falling
guess that
off a
too.
second story balcony.
Yeah, falling. The doctor.
Tell us what the doctor shot.
Well, he's
Go on.
this whole script.
Go on.
This whole script seems like it was full on a B movie from the 60s that someone threw together, and the doctor really like encapsulates that spirit the best, because he's so bad and nothing he says makes sense, and it's all exposition to attempt to drive the plot forward. But he also spends half the film just standing weirdly next to the bush outside Mike Myers' home, not doing anything,
Just yelling awful whispers at kids.
Yeah. So the doctor in this film
Hey,
is
get out of there.
He's meant to know the full power. Get out. Oh yeah, he yells at the kid.
He tells the police what to do a lot.
Yeah, so he's supposed to be the voice of reason that knows what's going to happen, and everyone else is too foolhardy to act on his information. But he's whiny and just a little bitch. So it just, no one wants to put their faith in him as a character, and he just ends up being this pathetic lump of a man that happens to be there at the end of the film.
Doesn't he also tell the cop to not tell any other police about Michael Myers?
Yes.
Yeah, he says, tell your officers to keep their mouths shut
And
their
eyes open. Right.
As it will cause a panic.
People should be worried.
Like one that might be required when there's a serial killer roaming the streets? No.
That said, I did love watching him because he was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't particularly stand out to me in this movie because for me, everybody was bad in this film. Like everybody, it was, and I don't think that it was a matter of this is an intentional B movie. I think that again, for the time, it was
right.
It was a revolutionary movie.
Yeah,
it's just that because nothing like it had really come out, they were okay to go with, okay, here's the premise: evil killer escapes asylum. That's it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Well, and it's an excuse to like. Would this have been the first movie that you're 18 and you're taking your girlfriend to the movies on a date, and you both go because you know you're gonna get turned on by all the like other teens fucking each other and the nudity, and then you're gonna get scared because they're all being brutally murdered, and then afterwards you go make out in your car for like the rest of your life because you've never been this turned on and like frightened before.
You're gonna cuddle up, but then the adults watching it can like revel in the fact that all these teens that got murdered were like drinking underage and smoking marijuana
and having the sex.
Yeah. They were immoral teens, so they also got their comeuppance.
Can we just talk about how unwise it is to be smoking weed at all if you already think that you're either being followed by some strange person or imagining that you are?
Yeah.
She, like, Jamie Lee Curtis, what's her name's character again?
Laurie
really doesn't seem to like believe or accept that there's this person following her for like a while, or like she keeps getting spooked and then she just kind of goes, like she just keeps not getting too bothered about it when it's like,
even when the boy she's babysitting is like, there's the boogeyman's outside, and she's like, no, he's not.
She's like, don't make me make you go to bed.
Yeah.
You shut up.
You shut up, kid.
Shut up.
You get away from that house.
That kid is awful too. God, I hate that kid. And that bully scene that they have where they're like,
oh my
God.
The boogeyman's coming to get you.
Yeah.
They're
and then
just
they knock over. What's he holding that they knock out of his hands?
Pumpkin.
Okay, so he's holding a pumpkin. They push him over. He falls into the pumpkin. Hilarious. And he's covered in pumpkin seeds. And then he just walks away, leaving all the pumpkin mess behind at the school.
Well, there's housekeepers and janitors to do that, right?
Yeah. And then one of the bullies like bumps into Michael Myers on the sidewalk.
Oh,
it's like creepy, where he's just like allowed to walk around. And that's the thing too of like small town. How much is there just like empty streets that you can kind of just stand places? Apparently a lot.
I mean, I'm hard pressed to think that nobody saw this gigantic masked man in overalls wandering around outside of a schoolyard.
But it's Halloween. It's that I think that's supposed to be part of the thing where it's like he's wearing a mask, but it's Halloween, so this is a day where it's not super weird that someone's doing that.
Right.
I mean, it's not much of a costume. It's a bit creepy. And Sean, you mentioned in your intro, it says there was a break-in at the hardware store where someone stole knives, rope, and a mask. It's a really convenient hardware store.
Yeah. But it's got to be kids who did that, right? Only kids would.
Yeah, only kids would buy that stuff.
Kids love stealing knives.
Yeah,
those rascals.
And things to tie people up with.
Yeah,
like murder devices.
Oh yeah, that's when they're smoking weed in the car while they're driving and
with the windows up.
And she's like, "My dad!" And they ditch the joint, and he's oblivious to their tomfoolery.
Yeah, she sees her dad, panics, tells her to like put it out, throw it out, and then get the smoke out, and then drives up to him like, "Hi, Dad." Like, why did you didn't have to go up anyway? It's just stupid.
He's responding to a crime and is working. Leave your father alone while you're doing drugs.
But also, as a police officer that close to the car, he would 100% smell the weed in the car.
1,000,000%. Okay, I something that I want to go through at the very least with this movie is like the final events of this movie. So speaking of like dumb things that don't make sense. So I just want to I want to walk this through just to make sure that I have this right. So please help me with this. Lori is spooked out. She like gets a creepy vibe from the house across the street where her friends were and like knows that they were there, like maybe having sex. Mm-hmm. She goes over. She ends up finding the dead bodies, freaks out. Michael Myers like jumps out at that point, right? He does, but she gets away somehow in that instance. That's when she's like runs. Just he misses a stab. He just like cuts her arm a little bit by a he blatantly misses but cuts her shirt. She falls over some stairs and like hurts herself and like limps away. She has struggle opening doors because a rake is leaning against it, but then breaks the glass to move the rake, thank goodness, and then gets back to her house. But first she goes to a neighbor screaming for help, and that neighbor just like closes the blinds, which I was like, damn, that's a bit too
I didn't
real.
even see that. I just thought no one was home.
Part.
It's so rough. She's like screaming at this neighbor's door, being like, help me. And you just see like someone at the window, and then they just like, you see the blinds go like and close.
I missed that.
It's actually one of the darkest moments of the movie. It's messed up.
Wow. Yeah.
She runs back to the house where the kids are. That's a good move, I think.
Yeah.
She like makes this kid that is just so sleepy wake up and not running to someone screaming, but eventually lets her in because Mike Myers is taking a long time crossing the street. Gets in, gets them to like go upstairs, and then realizes that there's an open window. So she slumps next to the couch as you would do and grabs a knitting needle. He misses a stab again and just stabs the couch next to her. She stabs him in the neck. Yeah. He falls down. And she's like, grabs the knife and looks at him. And then she's like, drops the knife near him.
Room.
Drops the knife in there with him. And then goes upstairs to the kids. And she's like having a long talk with them about how everything's fine, which is weird. And then Mike Myers comes up the stairs again. They scream. She locks them in a room, but not with her. And then she hides in a closet.
Yes.
She opens the French doors to the balcony to make it seem like she ran away, maybe? Right?
Yeah, sure.
And then she hides in the closet and like kind of locks it a little bit. Doesn't fool him. He breaks in with the knife that she left behind.
It takes him like a minute and a half, even though he is the embodiment of pure evil, to break through the like 1/4-inch balsa wood that this closet is made out of.
Yeah. He breaks through. He broke through a door earlier. Like he's clearly super strong and he can pick people up. So that's just.
But it just took him forever to break through this tiny little closet.
It'd be funny if we just heard in that one moment, finally him being like mumbling to himself, being like, "No, where did she? She was."
He's got a really like not scary voice.
Yeah,
like she wouldn't go out the window because she left the kids behind.
Jeez.
There's no way she would do that. She's got to be in this room. So I'll check the closet. It's locked. Yeah, she's in there. She's in there. Okay, Mike, get it together.
And then he breaks through with the knife that she left for him. She quickly makes a coat hanger into a pokey poke and pokes him in the eye, and he goes and drops the knife. She stabs him with a knife. He falls down again. She goes out. She looks at him. She again goes and drops the knife next to him. It's very frustrating. She gets the kids out. She begins another long conversation with them, being like, "You need to run to the neighbors and call the police." Go. They run away. She stays leaning in the doorframe of the room where the guy is, facing away from him, so we can get a shot of him sitting up quietly and getting up and doing a nice like spine roll up in the background. And then he's like really working out the kinks. And she stays there. And then luckily the doctor has been following Michael Myers, sees the kids come screaming out of the house, so that when he grabs her again, not choking her, decides to start strangling her this time, he comes up, shoots him. He does a little dance while he's being shot back onto the balcony. He falls down. They feel relieved, and they look down and they see that his body is gone and he's still out there, and they're like, "Oh no," end of movie.
Yeah.
Almost every part of that sequence is so frustrating. It was so frustrating. And I was kind of into this movie. I was like, I see why this became like a cult classic and why it took off. These daytime shots are spooky. It's like got a B-movie vibe, but a vibe that I can dig. Like it really does embody that kind of like, I think it's an important part of like people who love horror movies love a B-movie aspect. They love the like the weird logic. They love the bad effects. That's a part of, I think, why people love these movies. Mm-hmm. But I just can't get behind like her again being like, "Oh, I guess I'll just drop the knife next to him and lean in the doorway and stay in this house." I'm like, why? It's too much for me. It's too much.
Yep. I'll add that when she tells the kids to go to the neighbors to call the cops, they're like, "Okay," and they like kind of softly walk away, not making any noise. And the next shot, the door opens and they're screaming as they run out of the house. Bad cut.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the doctor had to see the commotion, right? He had to have reason to search the house.
And they'd already shot the scene where she tells them to go next door to call the cops, so they couldn't put them screaming into that shot. Yeah, it makes sense.
I mean, they only had $35 to make this movie, right?
Yeah. It's one of those things where what it should have been is that it should have been much more frantic. She should have stabbed him, and then she should have opened the door and been like, "Get out of here, run now, now's your chance." And then he should have immediately been up and grabbed her and started choking her, and they run out screaming. Like, that's what the movie I think was supposed to be, but instead they needed a few more minutes onto the pad time. They needed that 90-minute mark.
Yeah.
For this to be like a movie.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it is infuriating when you see someone get the killer down, and then the obvious move is to just get on top of them and stab until you know for sure they're dead, but instead they're like, "Oh no, that was probably enough."
Or like really put some distance between you and them now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Put in a shot where she goes to kill him with the knife, but like she can't because she's the virginal essence of purity that has to survive the film. So we see that moment of like, "I will not murder."
Yeah.
That at least explains it.
Yeah.
Right.
But she's like, maybe I just like slump here.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like, Jamie Lee Curtis does a good job.
Yeah.
You know?
They don't give her much to do.
But she's
working.
She's like, you can tell that she has some early chops. Yeah. Like the scenes with her and that friend, you're like, oh, one of you is like a burgeoning actor, and the other one is like, oh, hey, like, don't even tell me about that. You like him, huh? I'm going to tell him. I told him that you like him. Maybe if you don't do this, I'll let you come over again. Like, this is how she talks in her lines. Like, it is.
Oh man, and we didn't even touch on the acting in the first intro prologue scene where baby Michael Myers comes out with the knife, and they're like, "Michael, why are you wearing the mask?" And it It's supposed to be a freeze frame on the three of them as they look at the knife with blood on it, and it pans out for a good 45 seconds as they're not saying anything, they're not moving, except the dad looks at the mask a couple times and then looks back at baby Michael, and it just pans and pans and pans and pans and pans. Bad. Look,
they had that crane for the day, and they were going to use it.
Yeah, that's true.
All right.
Well, how much time do we have left for Krampus?
We got like 25 minutes, so we should maybe pop on over.
Hop on to the other side.
Yeah. Krampus, I'll start by saying, as I said before, at least has actors in it.
Yeah.
I thought the acting in this movie is actually like pretty good. Adam Scott, I thought was actually pretty good in that role as the dad, and then Toni Collette was doing great.
Toni Collette was great. Yeah,
he was great. Like her reactions, I felt were like, yeah, I think you just saw a gingerbread man like
come to life
and
kill
laugh
your
and
nephew.
scream in front of you, and essentially not kill, but that's again, I have a question that I want to ask about that kind of thing, but at least like abduct in a crazy ass way your nephew. They were great. The dude, the uncle that act, David Koechner, I think is his name. Koechner, who is just that role in every movie.
Literally, yeah.
He's the sport cowboy.
He pulls it off flawlessly in every movie.
He's great.
Well, and he has such a punchable face that you can just look at him and immediately know what he is.
Yeah. We need that like over the top douchey macho guy, and he's like, "Hey, champ."
Making his son daughters wrestle in the living room. You call that a reversal?
And he says that he's working on making his son the biggest linesman by the time he gets to high school. So he's just feeding him all the like corn syrup products that he can to make him as fat as possible.
His son, who literally has brain damage,
some great faces from that kid. My goodness. And then the aunt who is from the Fargo television show.
Oh, Allison Tolman.
Yeah, she's great.
Phenomenal.
She's great. And then I thought the grandma, the Omi, the German grandmother was fit the role well and delivered that without being over the top, without underplaying it. Like I thought she handled it well. And then I thought the the wild aunt of the parents, the one, she's like the mom from Waterboy. Isn't that her?
No, you're thinking of Kathy Bates.
Oh,
she is
Conchata Farrell. Yeah,
she's of 2.5 Men fame.
Mm-hmm.
She plays their servant.
Yeah,
right. But she was great.
Their housekeeper.
She plays their butler. I think.
It's a good group of actors.
I thought even the kids were pretty good. Like I thought, the kids did their thing. I was worried. Similar to the douchey uncle, I was worried that Adam Scott was just going to be playing the same kind of douchey, successful businessman thing that he does pretty often.
Right.
Because they kind of hint at it off the top when his wife is like, "Oh, I thought you weren't working over the holidays," and he's like, "Well, I still got to take a few phone calls." But he falls out of that pretty quickly and becomes a dedicated family man. Yeah.
Yeah, they really try to he's trying to be a good dad. Like the whole movie, he is being his goal is to be a good father.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It's like
It's a good super objective.
Good super objective.
Yeah.
And at least most of these actors do things like Sean mentioned. You mentioned that they do occasionally make the mistake of trying to say a cool line.
Yeah.
Give me back my son, you bastard, and then swing the axe, but the thing got away because they took the time. But generally they're behaving like people most of the time and trying to make plans and not being too careless, which for me makes I can watch a movie like this more because of that.
And both films have within them that we watched this week classic films inside of them. We had Halloween, they're watching the original The Thing on the TV, and in this one they're watching the
Christmas Carol,
the Alistair Sims Christmas Carol from
Right.
the 40s, 50s. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, it's got a phone call there, Jack.
I did.
Answer it.
Answer
No.
it.
No.
Answer it.
Answer the phone.
Live on air for our 4 listeners. This movie, I was kind of confused by what they were going for, but I was mostly confused by Krampus's helpers, because he's supposed to be an ancient demonic spirit.
Mhm.
You hear ancient, you assume thousands of years,
And they say thousands of years. Like, they make a
Thousands of
point of
years.
saying that.
but all of his minions are just kind of evil toys from the last 2 centuries.
Yeah.
Like a few more centuries than that.
Maybe the oldest one was probably the flying angel thing.
Gingerbread man.
Okay, but you know what I mean, right? There's modern puppets and stuffed bears and
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
I saw-
robot toys.
Like, I
it's
think-
like a
Yeah.
full. Yeah.
I think it would, like, they probably, if I'm going outside the film's logic, would be demons that can shapeshift to look like the toys that are more modern, depending on the age.
Yeah, like they're not actually those things. They are things. Yeah, I agree with that. Or they have continued to evolve as
I hate
blah,
that.
blah, blah. It's
I
a
hate
loose
that.
logic. I like this movie. I actually like. I like the design of this movie. I generally really like. I
Yeah.
thought aesthetically it's super cool.
Yeah.
Krampus was a bit disappointing. I thought his reveal was like awesome when he finally
Yeah.
comes down, like the chimney is cracking as he's coming out, and the reveal is great. But then it's like a bit like I wish they made a practical face. It was kind of practical, but kind of CGI.
I think they did, which is something I
but then
appreciated.
they have the tongue coming out and
Right.
stuff, and
Mhm.
Right.
it's a bit of both. And it's like you should have just like done a weird face, or like just hid the face or something. I don't know what the answer was, but it was still good, if I'm being honest. And the overall aesthetic, and I liked what they were setting up, and I liked the whole like winter blizzard look, and like it looks great. I think
Yeah.
this movie,
Mhm.
with the exception of like, I hated the elves, like these pagan elves. I thought they were a really weak sauce addition.
Oh, I loved them.
It's just to me, because it's
The
like this movie.
elves?
They called them the elves, although they said those
All the helpers?
the helpers, like the
Right.
ones that come in the
Oh, yeah.
mask with the spears and the furs and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That
Omi is
was
like
the moment when I was like,
elves.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like, what? Like, what is
There
this?
was a
And, like,
lot.
and like, yeah, it was a lot, and it just seemed like why isn't Krampus doing more?
Mhm.
I just
Because
thought,
he has minions. I appreciated the elves because I got the impression they were going for more of a campy kind of Evil Dead style approach to the horror in the movie.
Mhm.
I like the fact that they were hearkening back to the pagan roots of Krampus. And I loved that it was all real people in costumes, which is something I thought that you would have appreciated
Yeah.
more. The fact that most of the things we see are practical effects,
Yeah.
save for 1 or 2 CGI moments.
The
And
puppetry was really cool.
yeah, it was for sure.
yeah. And
I do
love,
like those things. That's why I said, like, the design, like how it was made in this movie, I like it all. Like, it's
Yeah.
really good. I just, story wise, I just wish they hadn't introduced the elves. I wished, like, I don't know. I would have preferred if this, like, because the snowmen that kept appearing outside, that again, they looked scary. They creepy
did,
as
but I was
fuck.
confused by them. I didn't know
Yeah.
if was he turning people into snowmen? Was that the idea? Because they kind of
hinted at
implied
it
that
with-
they had turned the brain dead nephew into one.
They did
Right.
imply that. They, like,
But there
his
was-
hat and scarf or something was on it.
But there's a snowman in the front lawn the morning before all the chaos begins. Like, just as the blizzard hits and no one's died yet, but he wakes up and he's like, "There's a snowman on the front lawn, Mom," and she's like, "Oh, that's great. I don't care," and walks away.
Yeah.
He didn't destroy the note the night before that happens?
He destroyed the note, but no one has died by that morning.
Right.
So
Well,
I
no,
don't know
no,
who that was
because
supposed
That's
to
what I
be.
mean. It's unclear.
I
It's
don't know if
unclear.
that's true because the power goes out as soon as he tears the letter up.
Yeah.
and then by the morning it is a blizzard, and you don't see any of the other neighbors. The first neighbor you see is I guess that's a lie, because the UPS guy drops off the bags or drops off the package, and then he's the first one we see that's dead. Also, side note, does Adam Scott and his wife, do they ever react to the random big bag of gifts that get delivered to their house?
No. It's just like, they got a lot of stuff, huh? Must be easy being rich. And then they bring in this big old Santa sack. This big Santa sack, and no one addresses it, and it's just like put under the tree, and no one's like, hey, what's that?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot going on, and they put it like behind the tree. I bought it. I was there for the ride.
It was a gripe.
You're too easy on this movie, man.
Yeah.
I had a good time. My biggest gripe is I wish there was more like violence. To be honest, I wish it was more of a horror film in its like most horrific way. I wanted to see Krampus be this gnarly, disgusting monster who like rips you apart with his fingers.
Well, that's why I like the PG-13 thing. I caught on to it because the first person. And here's the thing: the again, what became a kind of annoying thing that was on my mind through this movie, that I kept asking this of the movie. The first, they immediately like kill the sister.
Yeah.
Or like, again, and here's the thing: it's like you just see her, you see Krampus, and it's a cool sequence where he's like jumping off the roofs and stuff, and it looks great. And then she hides under a truck, and you see him walking around, and he disappears, a jack-in-box, and like something comes out of it. It's like a little thing, and then she screams, and then like there's like shaking from above the truck, like from looking down on it. And I was like, wait, is she dead? Was that her? Is this sister dead now?
Yeah, we don't know.
Through this whole movie, I was asking like, wait, are they dead? Or what? Like, what's happening? It's just like people being attacked / taken. There's like a mysterious thing under the snow that burrows and like bites at people. That I'm like, so wait, is that person dead? And the kid, like the derpy cousin, gets pulled up the chimney, and like, so is he dead? Like, I just don't know what's happening to people. And so I just don't know, again, and that's part of the thing I was saying, like that you're saying, Sean, it's like, it lacked I didn't need it to be like gory, but I was like, are we supposed to think that they're dying, or are we just supposed to be what I'm feeling right now, which is like, what happened to them? Or is this your PG-13 way of showing that this person is dead now, that they just get taken? Or...
Well, I think it was supposed to be the second one. I think it was supposed to be you're left wondering what happens to them until Omi gives her weird cartoon flashback and explains that this thing is here to kill everything.
Yeah,
I hated that.
Loved it.
I hated that cartoon
moment.
flashback. I
thought the animation was super great though.
Super cool.
I was so frustrated by it.
No, that was what? Why?
It just I don't know. It felt out of place. It felt like it was going for something. It was going for something cute and funny, like, and it just didn't land for me.
It was trying to be Rudolph. It was trying to be all those like claymation Christmas specials that we grew up with.
I got more of like a Nightmare Before Christmas vibe.
Sure, yeah.
That's the thing. It was
itself
cool,
is playing on that.
It was like a mix of a bunch of those. I thought it was the animation was really well chosen and designed to be a mix of, like you say, a Nightmare Before Christmas / Frosty
Rudolph, the Snowman.
Yeah, Frosty the Snowman style of animation. I didn't mind it. And I think from the get-go in this movie, you know that you're going to get that from Omi. So I was like, when the time comes, it was a bit late.
Omi's shady as fuck.
Omi is like really waiting.
Omi needs to speak up far earlier than Omi did.
Yeah.
Also, was anybody else infuriated by the fact that not only did they use the whole old person speaking a foreign language actually knows English the whole time thing, but then she immediately reverts back to German after her monologue?
Yeah.
That drove me nuts.
I liked it in the beginning when it was like grandparent from other country speaks language and like the kid can understand because he's grown up with her. I was like, I dig. That's a cool thing to show in this movie.
Totally.
I did roll my eyes when she's like, and now I'll speak English to you, to tell you. And I was like, I was like, oh.
Maybe she only learned that speech
one
in
speech.
English, so that one day if Krampus comes back, she has the ability to tell her family and extended family about that too.
And then so she tells the story in English, and then they're like, and then one of the other relatives is like, why didn't you tell us this before? And then she speaks in German. and then the grandson is like, she only knows how to say the story in English. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's all she learned.
What? Okay, so the logic. So Omi tells the story of when she was young. She too made a wish on Christmas Eve or whatever that she wanted her family to disappear. And Krampus comes, takes her family. She has to watch it, and then leaves her the Krampus bell as a like, you got your wish. Now you must know what you have lost from your wish forever based on this little bell I give you. So when he comes and confronts her, he murders her.
Oh, we're losing you a little bit, Sean. Or am I
And he
freezing?
later, sorry, am I back? Am I back?
Yeah, we got
All
you.
right.
He confronts her and he murders her, which I don't
And-
understand why.
Murders her, takes her, whatever. And then at the end, he gives the bell to the little boy who has wished that his family would all disappear. And then the boy comes back and he takes the boy to his snow globe world anyways. Is the reason he didn't do that to her in the past, to Omi in the past, because he knew that she would have to birth a generation that he would later come and punish?
No, I
or
don't think
something?
I don't think it's that. I think it's like I think the idea is that he usually like leaves behind the child who
Right.
made the wish.
Right.
So Omi just was like sat and lived with it and has been in a fear, about it for the rest of her life. Whereas the kid in this story makes the version to go back and confront him
Right.
and throws back the trinket and is like, take it back. I kind of appreciated that the movie made the choice where he's like, take me instead, and like
Yeah.
sheds a tear, and then they all start laughing at him.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I loved that.
And he
was
does
like,
that like
love
three
that.
times. It's
Yeah.
another point where the film takes those like hero moments and just says, no, that's not happening. You're being punished.
Yeah. What other times are you thinking of? Like when Omi stays and stuff like that?
Like the axe, the like, give me back my son
Mhm,
thing. That's
yeah,
a like
yeah.
hero moment that gets punished. I think David Koechner has a moment when he's in front of the like barricaded window too, where he has some big flashy line that means he misses with his shotgun blast or something like that. He gets punished for that. And then there's three moments where he says like, take me instead, he says like, I realize what I've lost, I think, as he's like holding him up above the thing, and he like licks his tear, or he picks
He
up his
takes it
tear.
with his fingernail, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, oh,
Take me instead. And he's like,
then
oh.
they laugh. And there was another moment where he had some line where like, I've learned the lesson that I'm supposed to be taught, and they all pause and like, no.
Yeah. So I appreciate the movie for being bold enough to like, because I was like, please don't do it, movie.
Mhm.
But then it does kind of get weird because then it shows the end of the movie is you realize that they've now been trapped in this, I guess, kind of idyllic, like little snow globe house, but it's like they're trapped there to like live Christmas forever or something like that. I don't know.
I guess.
I wasn't really sure what it was, but I thought it was so fucking creepy.
Yeah. Oh,
You
I
did?
thought it
Really?
was. Oh yeah, I thought it was. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, because
Very
I
Black
got
Mirror and
it is
stuff.
very Black
Yeah.
Mirror. I got fooled. So I actually have in my notes. It was all a dream. Fuck you, movie.
Yeah. I was
gonna
sitting
sitting there thinking, like I was like fuming with that, and then when you watch everybody's face slowly turn as
he opens
looks at the bell
again. Yeah.
my stomach like shot into my throat.
Oh.
Because I also like I've done enough drugs in my life where I've had that experience of looking around my room or looking around wherever I am and being like, is this real? At some point in this conversation,
Oh.
someone's going to turn to me and like confront me with the fact that this is all in my head, or that none of this is, or you know what I mean? Like, like that reality is not reality. So I'm already sensitive to that kind of idea. And I was also exhausted. It was like, I was really tired. So the whole thing, it creeped me out, man.
Good.
And then we saw the snow globe, and I was like, oh, that kind of cheapened it for me. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it actually might have been better if they didn't pull out to like Krampus's shack of
Snow
snow
globery?
globes. 'Cause
yeah.
it makes
They
you think
immediately
that-
undermined it.
yeah, so like, does that mean like throughout history, a bunch of these, I guess, kids, let's say, have done the exact same thing that
Yeah.
this kid did, or
I
it's
guess.
just not
yeah.
clear, or like,
It's all the families that he's serviced, shall we say.
yeah, but I have to like the subversion of like Omi stays behind to like give them time to get away because he's gonna come into the house for some reason or whatever.
Except they don't say that. They say that she's staying behind to face him because
Right,
she
to
couldn't
face him.
before. So they imply
They don't say
that
she's trying to buy us some time. Right? They don't say that.
no, the kid
She needs this.
the kid stops his dad from banging on the door because he thinks that she is sticking around to have her final kind of long time coming confrontation with Krampus.
Right.
So they imply that there's going to be some kind of showdown, and then Krampus shows up and just immediately kills her.
Yeah, which I would have kind of preferred if maybe I think I would have liked this movie a little bit more actually if Omi was left behind again. I think because it just to me it didn't make sense that like he came out and then it's like this random moment where he's like, oh, like it's like you again type moment or something like that.
Right.
And then he opens up his sack and like this lame CGI shot of like a bunch of toys being like, and like it's like whatever, what happened there? And again, I'm like, is she dead now? The whole movie, I'm like, are they dead? Is that what this is? She's taken. She's done in the movie or whatever. I thought it would have been cool if she was, if like the scene was just he comes down and he faces her and then like it cuts away to something else. You're like, oh, how did that resolve? And then you realize that he just didn't do anything with her. And something like
or she was a total
comes-
badass and she shows up 20 minutes later just like holding his arm or something and she's put up this crazy fucking grandma fight against Krampus.
It may be a nice thing too where or like he comes into the house, he looks at her and he's like, nah, and he walks away. Like he's like, I'm still got nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
The kid goes to confront Krampus at his pretty cool designed like pagan like bonfire ritual where they're like opening up the door to hell and throwing the cousin in.
The last cousin.
And maybe Omi shows up then and she has like a strap of shotgun shells across her chest and like a flamethrower. And she's like, I've been waiting for you or she says it in German, like, you know, I've been waiting for this a long time. And then like,
time to die.
Like has a rocket launcher. Like maybe like that'd be a fun ending to this movie too. Yeah.
So I'm realizing now, I guess the idea isn't that he's killing them. It's that as he's literally taking them to the snow globe world.
Yeah.
Right. Because
exactly,
when little dude comes down in the morning, his sister's first words are, "Oh, we've been waiting for you forever," or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You've been sleeping a long time. We thought you'd never wake up.
That's smart. I didn't connect that.
Yeah. And so
good job, movie.
Good job.
Well done.
That's like it's almost like this movie's really close to being actually really good, but
it's almost there.
It's almost there, but because it like doesn't like it. In the end, you're like, oh, so it's just also kind of just like a bunch of stuff. I really hated the burrowing monsters in the snow. I thought because it's like they're attacking and biting them and hurting them. So it's like, wait, so are they again? I was like, are they dead or are they just being taken away? If it was just like something that pulled them and then they disappeared under the snow, I'd be like, oh, this whole thing is about just taking them away.
Yeah,
but that is what they were doing every single time. They were pulling them under the snow.
But they were
biting them.
There was like, but it was an attack that I was like, are they taking them and like they're being devoured under the snow? That's you know what I mean. They made choices that made me confused, and I wanted to be like, this is about abducting them to be taken to like this snow globe world. I'd be like, fine. Same thing with like it's when the movie really kicks in and you're like, here it is, where like hasn't shown anything really that scary, and then they finally come upstairs where the cousins disappeared. And the fucking Jack in the Box monster with the detached jaw is just you see the feet going down it, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, but then it doesn't have like a digestive tract. It's just
has like a sack.
It's just fabric sack. Yeah, so the kid's still in there.
You get the idea that it's just to like he swallowed the cousin in order to
transport her,
take him to snow globe land.
Yeah.
This movie, some of the weird toy minions in this movie reminded me of either Toy Soldiers. That was what that movie was called, right?
Yeah.
Or the weird Frankenstein doll from Toy Story, or which there was one iteration of Toy Story 2 or 3. Remember the which one is it? There's like a Frankenstein baby doll that has
with the one eye.
It has one eye.
Oh yeah. At
That's
the end
in
of
Toy Story 1.
Spider legs.
It's in Sid's room. Yeah.
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 I couldn't not think of that when I was watching this film.
Oh, yeah.
And it brought back so many traumatic memories because that scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, it's a creepy fucking doll.
Yeah, especially when you're like 5 or however old we were when that movie came out.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you had noticed the little nod to The Shining this film does with the twins in the hallway, where they're just walking down the hallway, but it's almost the same kind of perspective as the like, come play with us from The Shining, the two twins in the house in The Shining.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah. Just two twins in a hallway, but if you're making a horror film and you stick two twins in a hallway, you're
It's
automatically
The Shining. Yeah.
you're automatically making a reference to The Shining.
It's The Shining. Oh.
Oh! We're such dicks. Ooh,
Yeah.
timer.
Jeez. Well, I think that's pretty good timing anyway.
Yeah.
So let's do even more lightning round than we've done in the past. I only have a couple. I said most of what I wanted to say about these movies. They're
Great.
shorter movies. They're like 90 minutes each. So
Which I loved, by the way.
we're gonna go into our lightning round, likes and gripes, where we're just gonna like list off
Spoopy edition.
Ooh, Spoopy edition. And we're gonna just go through any other gripes we have. Okay, I want to do mine first because
Go.
I'm already talking.
Please.
Mine, I just have 2 gripes. I have one for each movie, and they're both, I guess, real estate connected. Where it's like my gripe in Halloween. I was like, they have a whole separate building for doing laundry. Fuck these people. It's a gripe. Dan's looking perplexed.
What?
Yeah, at the friend's house where more of the murders happen. The friend, when she gets stuck in the window, remember she spills stuff on her clothes and she goes out to this separate building out back. It's like for laundry. And I was like, you have a whole building out back for laundry.
Yeah.
You deserve what happens to you. Great.
They must be
And then-
Democrats.
It also happens in Krampus that they are like, the house that they're in is big enough for them to like lose track of each other and like be creeped out what's around the corner. And I was like, yeah, that's what you get for having a big house.
Yeah.
Take that.
Don't hoard wealth, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Gripe. I don't know. That's it.
That's all you got?
Yeah, that's it. Get go. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so for Krampus, I loved the opening slow motion Christmas montage of people just like climbing over each other in the stores. I just have Granny knows what's up. I think that was earlier on in the movie. I guess I was a like at the time. I like the line, some people shouldn't be allowed to breed. Your words, Mom, not mine. And she's like, I said maybe they should take a test before they're allowed to breed, which I liked. I liked the creeper mall Santa in the photo when Toni Collette sees that Santa was staring at her daughter's butt in the photo. Gripe, what truck makes an entire house shake when it rolls up in the driveway?
Oh yeah, that was pretty stupid.
Fuck you.
A Humvee.
Fuck you. Gripe, no parent thought to stop the kids from bullying their son at the dinner table and reading his letter to Santa aloud. Instead, they just...
No. Adam Scott at one point goes, hey, why don't you guys take it easy?
Also, sorry, funny thing about maybe it's a gripe, maybe it's a like. I don't think Omi was at the dinner table. Like I don't remember her sitting at the table with the family, which is funny.
She was practicing her English speech for later.
Yeah, and
She was in
sharpening
the
the
background.
butcher knife in the
Yeah.
kitchen.
She's in the background just running lines and sharpening knives.
Keeping Sophia warm. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's like, I'm gonna tell this story later. to brush up on my English.
Okay, like the
Yeah.
chubby brain dead kid. I like the evil gingerbread man.
Yeah.
Gripe, old lady that speaks a foreign language but knows English all along. Fuck you, movie. Like the creepy snowman. I already said that one.
Lightning round.
Lightning round. We're killing it right now. I have Granny's a gangster, and then when she was going back to fight Krampus, and then I had and a fool when she gets killed by Krampus.
Yeah.
I like the subtle Christmas music that's kind of just peppered into the background, kind of subtly throughout the movie. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but it's like there's some really scary, tense moments where it's just subtly
Christmas
playing.
time
Yeah.
is here.
Like Krampus actually looked creepy as fuck. Like he looked like the shadow of Santa Claus, which I thought was really cool. I loved Krampus's fake moment of sympathy before throwing the girl into the fire. I have gripe, it was all a dream, fuck you. And then I have actually like, never mind. like the bait and switch ending and the credit sequence, which I thought was cool. The little like fairy tale book thing that they go through at the end. That's it for that. And then for Halloween, gripe. Thunderstorm was so loud that I can't hear anything they're saying in the opening car scene.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I have gripe. The dialogue of this movie. Gripe. The violence in this movie. Gripe. Don't alert the police of the evil killer roaming the streets. That's pretty much it. That's all I got.
All right. Lightning round.
Sean.
Likes and grapes.
Show us how it's
Krampus.
done, Sean.
Krampus likes. I like that he named his Humvee Lucinda. That's a like. The puppetry. Damn, son, that's some good puppetry. The credits music. I leapt forward to near the end of the credits to see if there was maybe an end scene or something like that. There wasn't. But they created a whole score of, you kind of mentioned, of their own like Christmas music just for the credits, I think, because I didn't hear it in the movie, and it's all really cool like variations on the lyrics of the show of popular songs. So that was great. Gripes. Some of the humor in this really misfired and was problematic, and it didn't really add to the movie. And the German grandma secrecy, I summed it all up in. For Halloween, likes. I wrote down the music right off the top. Of the two pieces they wrote, I still like the one that's more like synthy atmosphere music, but the piano, but the piano sound stuff, that's gonna move into my gripes because it was overused. The oneers, fantastic. Most of this movie is oneers, I think. One shots. Maybe you can help me with this. I wrote down shout gag, but I don't really remember a shout gag in this film.
Like while someone is gagged, or like there was a gag about shouting.
I think there was a gag about shouting, but I don't know what I meant.
I don't know.
And then this actually I really liked. It's when it's when her and her friend are walking down the street, and it's that the synth music is playing that behind them, and they notice Michael Myers is across the street, and the music goes and it pitches up when they notice him, and it actually really just like drives the intensity of that moment home more effectively than anything else they could have done. Really cool moment. Gripes. The acting. The doctor parked in the handicap spot.
Yeah, I noticed that
and
too.
I was like, you're a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
That's a gripe. The entire character of Lindsay and all the friends. The doctor unloads his clip, and then it goes back to him, and he awkwardly like clicks it again for some reason. It's bad. And there's a jack-o'-lantern in the bedroom when they're having sex. Why is a jack-o'-lantern in the bedroom? Why?
Is it in the bedroom when they're having sex, or is it in the bedroom after Mike Myers sets up that whole weird what's the word I'm looking for? He like puts the gravestone in there, and there's a jack-o'-lantern, and then he's splayed around in the bed. It's Shrine's the word I'm looking for.
Right. It's at a point when there's no suspense. It's just there's a jack-o'-lantern next to the bed for some reason.
It's Halloween.
Yeah.
And Sean has left.
And that's the end of my likes and gripes.
There we go.
And that was likes and gripes,
back.
everyone. That was likes and gripes.
I want to do two more quick gripes. I'm sorry.
Oh.
So sorry, Dan.
Okay.
I just want to say
Lightning
I want to add in the gripe of making us listen to the friend in Halloween yell Lindsay a bunch of times. I just want to make sure that's really iterated. It's really awful. And also the gripe of them overdoing the like making us think that David Koechner's character, like douchey uncle character, is a douche. They just like lean into it too much with him like being like, that's my boy, when his boy burps after drinking Mountain Dew and saying things like climate change my ass, like look at this. No, it's like we get it. We get it.
You're like the quintessential redneck American.
Yeah, thank you. Like we got it. Like in the first moment he stepped on screen.
Yeah.
And that's the end.
My final gripe for Halloween
my God.
is overusing the he's dead, oh no he's not dead.
Yes, terrible.
Shtick in the movie with Mike Myers. Also, other gripe, I wish it would have been Mike Myers and not Michael Myers.
Okay, so that is the end of Likes and Grapes. So let's
Likes
get
and
into
grapes, everyone.
Likes and Grapes, everyone. Our 17-minute lightning round. So now we're going to get into our little rating system here. We're going to decide which one of these movies is the Citizen Kane of the week. How we do that is that we have 5 categories that we compare these movies on, which are looks good, sounds good, acts good, story good, and rewatchability. If you had to watch,
or would you rather,
or if which one would you play at your funeral has been somehow worked in the past. And so essentially, whichever
Halloween.
movie, it's Halloween, whichever movie comes out with 3 or more of those 5 categories, the majority is declared the Citizen Kane of the week. So let's start with looks good.
We need to just make sure that we add the question marks to the ends of these titles. I think
looks good.
Looks good.
Looks good. Which one looks the goodest?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna lead off, and I'm gonna say Krampus, just based on the puppetry and the whole design, and yeah, they put a lot of effort into it, and it shows. I liked it.
Yeah. I'd go with that too. I had high hopes for this movie, based on the opening sequence. This movie being Halloween, it set my expectations really high with that really creepy one take POV shot, and then it just went to shit, and then suddenly so I'm going to go with Krampus too.
Yeah, Halloween has a couple shots that you're like, you really did you managed to make this recurring creepy guy watching thing work for like half a movie by using some creative shots and simple like street stuff, and like good for you achieved a lot with this. Kudos for that. But as we kind of talked about a little bit, the look and aesthetic of Krampus is actually like maybe the best part of the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah,
the design is wonderful, and the selective use of CGI. Luckily, like you can do it like it's like all in a blizzard, like a justified blizzard, so it's okay if it's kind of obscured and it makes sense, and it's good. That I'm 100% on Krampus as well, so I'd say it easily gets the point.
Way to go, Krampus.
I think that Halloween would have looked better if, instead of cutting to Jamie Lee Curtis when Mike Myers was leaving the frame, when she sees him and then she turns away and turns back and he's gone, if instead of staying on Jamie Lee Curtis, we would have stayed on him and just see him like standing really stoically and then just like bolting out of frame.
Actually, I would have appreciated it if it wasn't even of him. It was back to like his, in the first sequence, it was like the heavy breathing with like through the dark eye holes. And it was him, and you can just see enough of him, like, and you see Jamie Lee Curtis like looking at him, and he's like, okay, and then you see her like look away from the window, and he's like,
Yeah,
you just hear him, and he's like the camera behind the eye holes, and he's like,
yeah, that's it,
like jumping, like falling over a bush, like, no, fuck, no.
Sounds good.
Sound good. So this is okay. The ADR, there's a lot of ADR in Halloween that is like laughable, where it's all clean in Krampus. Halloween at least has that like unique score. I gotta give it points for that.
Yep.
Can you call it a score if it only has 2 songs?
It's still a original piece of music.
Yeah,
it's like pretty well known. Like it's like
it is iconic, yeah.
Or whatever it is. Krampus has some of that Christmas music like sneakily kind of put through, and it's fine, but like I'm not left with any major impressions from it. This movie is well produced, so like it's hard. This one, like, I don't know, like Krampus is clearly like, again, it's much cleaner and like
higher budget, better,
higher budget, but it doesn't have that like let me put it this way. Krampus would have been probably about as spooky if it had essentially almost like no soundtrack, whereas the music and use of sound in Halloween elevated it to being quite like, it made the tension higher and it made it scarier than it would have been of just like, and now the guy is standing there.
Totally.
So I'm kind of feeling inclined to I'm trying to just work through my logic on this. Like maybe give it to Halloween because of how the sound elevated the movie. I don't know.
I think we're coming back to Jack on that.
Yeah, come back to me. But that's kind of maybe where I'm leaning. I know.
You fucking coward. I'm gonna go with Krampus. I think the iconic soundtrack in Halloween is great, but I just found it to be annoying and repetitive by the end. And I really appreciated the subtle use of the Christmas music throughout the movie, like so subtle that sometimes you didn't even realize it was there.
Yeah, it was cool.
which I liked. It was kind of just this like undercurrent of holiday spirit amidst all this ridiculous chaos. So for that, it goes to Krampus for me.
Yeah, same reasons. I'm gonna go Krampus. I love the original music from Halloween. It just kind of got comedic by the end every time the pianos played and Michael Myers was on screen. So yeah, Krampus.
Oh my God, guys, is it happening? Are we seeing a comeback for the schlock?
Jack, what's your final vote? Not that it matters.
I mean, I would probably still eventually give it to Krampus. And this is something that we'll maybe debate after this, Dan, is that I don't know how schlocky Krampus is.
Yeah. I realized that I realized that I expected it to be a lot schlockier than it was. When I saw the cast and when I saw that because my only other point of reference for the Krampus character is that horrible Netflix movie.
We should have watched that one.
We should have watched that one.
Oh my God, I wouldn't have made it through. So I expected it to be more on the schlocky comedy side.
Yeah,
and we didn't really get that at all. I wanted this movie to be campier and funnier. And instead, it kind of just like found itself in the middle between kind of funny and kind of scary.
It's more dramatic than it is a comedy. It's more like a genuine family drama.
Yeah,
in a kind of interesting way. If I'm being honest,
it's like a home invader movie.
Yeah,
it's
so like
hire other
Purge,
actors,
but Christmas.
Guys. Don't hire comedians to do your fucking drama. Is my take on this.
But they were good.
I know they were good. I'm just frustrated because I thought. I chose these movies thinking that Krampus was going to be a lot schlockier than it was.
Right.
And it ends up being this kind of clever, high-budget horror movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, my bad.
Yeah. Yeah, Darren.
Yeah, Darren.
Which gets into acting. And this one for me is fucking easy Krampus. Like, let's be real. It had actors in it. Like...
Yeah. Agreed.
Sean agrees.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I guess, is there any point in going forward with this? Or are we just going to keep moving to see if there's a clean sweep?
Yeah, we gotta.
Methinks there will be.
We have to.
Well, all right. Well, I'm for Krampus too. Yeah,
for acting. And then, so with story, no further discussion. There were actors in it acting, so it wins. And with the story, because I watched Krampus first, and I remember being like, these are both movies, in my opinion, where it's like you dig what they're setting up and you want to know how it, just to get like enough insight, like we talked about with Michael Myers, like just enough about him to feel like we understand who this dark character is. And they do a little bit, but it doesn't answer what you want to know, I think. And same thing with Krampus, though. I was like waiting. That's why I got frustrated when the elves came in. I was like, no, don't introduce more random stuff. You already have the random snowman. You already have the random under snow monster. You already have it's like, and none of those things, the snowmen, we don't know what the fuck the snowmen were there. It was just to like intimidate or something. And we don't, and like, it's just like leaves a bunch of things open-ended that I wish, that kind of bummed me out at the end. Cause I was actually like, if watching Halloween second, I was like, oh, the point might go to Halloween here because it's pretty clear. Like it's simple. And that means it's being very effective in what it's doing. But then it really bottoms out at the end with the sequence of events in a way that is just like so bad.
Yeah. Like, I mean, at least Krampus tries to take its story somewhere.
Yeah.
Whereas Halloween kind of stops at killer in town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
So like, yeah, my point would still be to Krampus, but I was kind of hoping that Halloween would maybe step up, but yeah.
Yeah, I was generally pretty disappointed with Halloween. I mean, it was my first time seeing it, but I've heard about it so often, and it really is a classic horror movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you expect it to be at least remotely scary, but it is kind of comical throughout.
Yeah.
Which is disappointing.
Yeah.
I'm also curious to know if those snowmen have anything to do with the pagan roots of the Krampus character. If they were less supposed to be any kind of particular plot point and more just kind of a nod to,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Well,
why did he kill everyone on the street? Also.
I am going to give this point to Halloween. Essentially for all the points you listed, Jack, that at the end of Halloween, I did find the whole movie kind of silly in the end, but like it hit all the points it was hitting along the way, and it told one linear story that I followed for every moment. With Krampus, there was a lot of padding, a lot of plot elements that kind of distracted from its main point. And at the end, I was a little unclear, and I didn't quite understand fully what was going on. So just for clarity's sake, I'm going to go Halloween.
Ah, damn it.
I just-
it articulated that way. I was going to go Krampus, but you make some strong points, Sean.
Thank
you. You're well. Thank you.
I mean, but the guy gets stabbed twice and then shot a bunch of times and then falls from a window and then
He's pure evil.
Pure evil.
no, fuck
Jack.
you, Sean. That's not that is
Pure
not,
evil.
That is not how it works. It's just like so ridiculous.
You know what? I'm gonna keep things interesting. I'm gonna go with Halloween on this one.
Ooh, maybe a dramatic
spooky.
comeback.
Ooh, spooky
From the
points.
dead.
All right. Well, then rewatchability. I actually don't know how you guys will feel about this. What, Sean? What would you watch?
Krampus. Definitely Krampus. I think there's more to kind of rediscover on a second watch through than with Halloween. And Halloween honestly just wasn't that scary of a film. So, and Krampus, there were moments where I was like, ooh, what's gonna, oh, yeah.
There are boobs in Halloween though.
Ooh,
This
yeah,
is
there are.
true.
John.
I am still gonna just go with Krampus. Just.
That's the right answer.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not likely to watch either one of these movies again. But if I had to choose, I would say that Krampus was unquestionably the more entertaining of the two. So
I'll put it this way. I don't feel the reason to watch any of the many sequels in the Halloween series after watching it.
Maybe the most recent one.
Oh yeah,
I've heard the Rob Zombie ones are pretty good.
Yeah, but I don't care. Like I'm not.
Right.
I don't feel invested in watching more of this story. Like I don't whatever.
Mhm.
Part of me is a little interested in watching They made a second Krampus movie. And part of
Krampus
me,
Origins.
is that what it is?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Mm.
It's connected to the X-Men universe, actually.
Oh my god, I hope so.
Part of me, like, if someone was like, "Hey, you want to watch it?" I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I saw the first one." I'd be down. Like, part of me is like down to see if they did more with it, and I'd be curious to see what they did a little bit. So that's kind of like rewatchability, like a continued in the franchise.
I would
interest.
continue I'd rewatch the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'd return to the world. Yeah, all right.
So Krampus for me.
Krampus. So not a clean sweep,
Nope. Almost.
unfortunately, but
But 4-1.
and not at all the way that I saw this going. I'm always happy to see the I guess we can't really call it schlock this time around, but the lesser of the two movies come out on top. But I really expected more from Halloween.
Yeah,
I did too, yeah.
I wasn't surprised that it was a classic, kind of because it was schlock again, which I feel like is a big thing in horror movies. I was definitely surprised at like the quality of Krampus. Like it's well made, well acted. The script is pretty decent.
Yeah.
Like no major, like
Yeah.
not many.
And the
big
kids
flaws.
are all really good child actors.
Yeah, they were fine. So like, yeah, I was just surprised that it was.
They were
I was
fine.
expecting
Fine.
they were.
Thanks.
Yeah, they were fine. The main kid had some moments that I was like, but I was kind of just surprised by that. I was like, that's why when you pitched it, Dan, I was like, oh, I think that'll be fun because I think I'd never seen it. I think none of us had, right?
Krampus?
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd seen a review one of the like YouTube review channels that I watched. They reviewed it last year, and so I knew that this was going to be better than I was expecting.
Right.
But
Right. So yeah, it was a cool movie. Honestly,
Yeah.
I would, if you were like, should I watch Krampus? Is it a fun
Yes.
like horror movie that takes place during Christmas? I'd be like, one of the best that I've seen for sure. Check it out.
And that's what this film review podcast has come to. Should I watch Krampus? Yes.
So this week, the Citizen Kane Award of the week of this week. This week, so Citizen Kane goes to.
Wait for it. Here you go.
Krampus.
Yeah.
Well
There
done,
we go.
Krampus.
Yeah, go Adam Scott.
Yeah, good job,
did it.
Adam Scott, Tony Collette.
Oh, also there was one moment I forgot to say this. There's a moment in
too late.
nope
Yeah, it's
in,
over, man.
in Krampus where Toni Collette's being like strangled and she's being lifted up into the rafters of the attic, and I had a flashback to basically the same shot in Hereditary.
Oh, right.
That where Toni Collette. Have you seen Hereditary?
No.
Daniel, have you seen Hereditary?
No, I avoid that movie like the plague.
Yeah, please don't make me watch it for this
Yeah,
podcast.
there is.
I won't do it.
There's a part at the end where Toni Collette is sort of not really being hung. She's possessed in the rafters of her attic, and she's doing something that is horrifying and cannot get out of my mind. So when I saw that in Krampus, I immediately just flashed back to that and spent the rest of the film being like,
Oh no.
yeah.
She's so great. Again,
Yeah,
big
she's
shout out
really-
to Toni Collette. And I can only imagine in a movie like Hereditary, she would make, because her face is so transformative,
Fuck.
and it can
Yeah.
be so like, yeah.
I didn't know who she was until this movie. I had never seen her in anything else.
I just recognize
Little Miss
the
Sunshine?
actor. That's where
Who's
it is.
the mom?
That's where it is.
Oh, I haven't
Yeah.
seen. Is that the one with
Steve
Steve
Carell?
Carell? Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't seen that movie in ages.
Yeah, and Paul Dano. It was like his
Dano?
breakout film. And Abigail Breslin, right?
Alan Arkin, I think, in it. Abigail Breslin's in it.
Yeah. Look at us knowing the cast of Little Miss Sunshine.
don't know
This
any
is
of those
why
people.
we're qualified to review movies. We can
Well-
name actors and things.
Shall I give next week's picks
Oh,
for the
shit, yes.
Spoopy Scary Week?
Sean's Spoopy Movies.
Spoopy movies. Is that-
I'm trying
So-
to make them less scary for myself.
One
Yeah,
of
I'm
these
nervous.
one of these films is one that we've pitched to go with a non-scary film before. So I'm wondering how attached to Kramer versus Alien versus Predator that you both are. Because I want to use Alien versus Predator.
We could always pitch later. We could maybe bring back Kramer versus Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, I think that's a
Okay.
funnier pairing, anyways.
Great.
But okay. Let's hear the,
All
the
right.
pairing
So
first.
so my theme, my connective
yeah.
my connective theme takes place in Antarctica.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I think I know what you're gonna do.
So my class,
National treasure.
yeah, the schlock is of course Alien versus Predator.
Walk of the Penguins or whatever. March of the Penguins.
So Alien versus Predator is the schlock, and the classic is another John Carpenter classic film, The Thing.
The Thing. Nice.
Yeah,
I've
not the
never
origi-
seen The Thing.
Yeah, me neither. Not the original one that they're watching in Halloween, but the one he made in '82, I think, with Kurt Russell. And yeah, it's supposed to be super scary. So
Have you never
Right.
seen it?
no, haven't.
It's
Okay.
the effects are supposed to be out of this world, and
Really?
like, yeah, I've never seen it, but I've seen little people talking about it, like little videos once in a while, and it looks. I think it's gonna be fucking scary, but I think it's
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
be fascinating. And
Is it
intriguing
supposed to be
watch.
scary though? Because both these things have a bit of like a sci-fi horror vibe. To them,
Yeah.
right? I guess
Yeah,
not so
I
much
was-
Alien versus Predator. That one's more so just like action sci-fi.
Yeah, I was gonna. That's the one I was kind of maybe gonna like say
Is it
if
not
there's
horror?
another.
I just figured
I
it's
don't.
part of the.
Go. You
Have
haven't
you-
seen it. You haven't seen
No,
it.
I have only the end.
It's more of like an action flick. It's more action sci-fi,
Right.
like Dan
Okay,
said.
well, I do have an alternative to Alien versus Predator
Yeah,
that is
let's hear
definitely
it.
a horror film. It's a 2007. It doesn't take place in Antarctica, but the theme could still be like blizzardy winter conditions.
Okay.
So it's a Kate Beckinsale 2007 piece of shit film called Wind Chill.
Okay.
Wind chill. Oh,
Yeah.
Jack,
Can I
Jack has a problem.
Yeah, can I give an offering for this one? I know it's
Sure.
unprecedented,
No,
but I feel like we're
please.
just finding because I really want to do the Thing versus something, but I want to find one. Do either of you know the movie Slither?
No.
Slither
Why
is
does that ring a bell?
it's I think it might be a good pairing. It's not Antarctic based, but it's about goopy things that take over people's body based.
Okay. And it's schlocky?
I think so. Let's do
the old IMDb.
I'm just gonna
Just bear with us, listener, as we all take out our phones and look
Slither
up the movie.
So it's
Why don't you join us? Take out your
2006.
phone and look up the movie Slither with us. Tell us what you find.
It seems to be actually like it's was made as horror sci-fi, but it has like an 86 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay,
It's
so-
like it's schlocky, but it's like good schlock that people
Right.
like it. That's why I didn't know if it worked. So what's the one you recommended?
Wind
the other
Chill.
one?
It's
Wind
it's a movie
Chill.
where Kate Beckinsale and her boyfriend, their car breaks down in the middle of a blizzard on a country road, and spooky things happen to
Ooh.
them.
I have a counter offering. Oh, is this a horror movie? Two college students share a ride home for the holidays, but when they break down on a deserted stretch of road, they are preyed upon by the ghosts of people who have died there.
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh no, I can't do supernatural stuff. Oh, it's a 5.8 too. That's,
All right, we're locking it in then.
Oh, it's Emily Blunt. not
Emily
Kate-
Blunt.
not-
Yeah,
not
Kate
Kevin
Beckinsale was in another Antarctic movie that just didn't look interesting in any way,
Blunt
shape, or form.
is good. That might be
Yeah.
be good. What was your other thought though, Dan? Just because we're
I was gonna offer up
Gods of Egypt or
Gods of Egypt versus
No, okay,
but
so we're
what
doing.
Dracula
was it?
2000. I was gonna. I think Wind Chill's a good choice.
Yeah.
I was
I
gonna
was
say
curious.
Sticking on brand or on theme with the blizzardy horror.
Mhm.
30 Days of Night with Josh Hartnett.
I don't know it. Is it schlock?
Well, I'm looking at the thing and it has 6.6 out of 10 stars and a 53 score on Metacritic. I think Wind
I like
Chill is a
Wind
better
Chill.
call.
Yeah,
let's
let's
go
do
Wind
Wind
Chill.
Chill.
The
Yeah,
Thing
let's do Wind Chill.
versus Wind Chill.
Yeah.
Have you considered doing Gods of
No.
Egypt though versus
No.
the Thing? What about the Thing versus the original Superman, where we see his Fortress of Solitude?
The Thing versus the Hulk. The Thing.
Oh, that's a horror movie.
No.
I like that. That's the one that caught Sean's eye.
Yeah, that's it. I was joking.
I know.
Well, good. I can't wait. I'm looking forward. The Thing is a movie that's going to be scary, but I look forward to watching it still. Because
I'm nervous about a ghost movie. You dink.
Oh, but Ghost, I don't care about. Well, actually, might be scary.
Ghosts is my scariest scary.
Really?
Yeah, I can do slasher. I can do gore, no
man.
problem. But like supernatural, demonic shit or ghosts, no man, I can't do it. That's why I don't watch Hereditary.
I was playing around with the Amityville Horror versus The Haunting, so that would have been just a pure week of ghost scariness.
I would have taken the week off. I would have just let the two of you do it. I wouldn't be able to do that.
This is so funny that we're like trying to do this, but like we're pitching, most of us, like we've pitched movies that like barely like even register on like the scary, because we're like, it's too scary.
Yeah,
and we got to get into it.
Too spooky.
No, yeah.
Whereas like,
All right, Sean.
like we're not doing like Blair Witch Project, which I watched at like 15, like just the perfect age to be like, what? Why?
This is for sure real. You know what? This is fine, actually. We are in the middle of a pandemic, so I have lots of free daytime to watch these movies. So we're
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Well, great. I look forward to that. I won't be able to watch with Miranda again because it's too much. But definitely
Did
during
she
the
get
day.
really scared of?
She's
Really?
worse than I am. She like will legit lose sleep. Whereas like I'll be like my imagination.
Like I might actually lose sleep too, if I'm being honest. I avoid those movies so hard.
Yeah. Well, let's wrap it up here. I feel like I
Yes,
don't know if these
please.
will be funny, but let's do our Thanos teasers.
And what are those, Jack?
Oh, what are they? I'll tell you. That's what I'll do. These Thanos teasers are a little activity we like to partake in, where we make up Thanos teasers like you would see in the Marvel movie universe when Thanos was being teased in the post credits in some nebulous way. So we imagine what that would look like after each movie we watch. It's like kind of fun, but yeah, let's do it. So what do you want to start with? Do you want to start with maybe Halloween?
Sure. For Halloween, I just have the credits roll out, and we fade in on the same street where Michael Myers has been committing his mini killing spree, and close up, like tight 2-shot on those 2 kids just running and screaming down the road, and we see them run past this like gigantic body, and as they run through frame, we stay on the body and we we pan up to reveal just a large Thanos in a ballerina Halloween costume.
Oh, because it's Halloween.
And he's trick-or-treating.
It's finally justified for him to be in a silly outfit, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's just him with a bag of candy, and like maybe he's like, you know that his really intelligent right hand in the Avengers movies, the guy who floats, and maybe he's like the parent figure, so he's holding Thanos' hand as they walk down the street to make sure he's staying safe. That's it. That's all I got.
That's so funny. I had a similar idea. It's not the idea that I think I ended up settling on, but I had a similar idea of like him trick-or-treating, but it's like exact same setup as you said, but it's actually, it passes by, it's like legs that have like clearly like green paint on them, for example, and it pans up, and it's like someone who's dressed up as Hulk, and he's like wearing the like fake Hulk smash gloves, and like has a Hulk mask, and he just tilts it up, and it's Thanos, and he's like,
that's better.
Yeah. He's like dressed as one of the Avengers for Halloween.
Mine is she runs out of the house and she's screaming, help me to all the neighbors, and you just see Thanos's eye peek through the blind, and then just closes it down. That shot that you picked out, Jack, it's actually Thanos behind there, and then he goes and damn neighbors and their stupid kids. And he sits down and he picks up his teacup and stupid Halloween, and he takes out a nice little biscuit and he dips it in the tea and just oh damn, yeah, good, okay.
What's he wearing in this scenario, Sean?
Yeah, we need to know what he's wearing.
Yeah,
nothing.
Ooh, bold choice.
Yeah.
So in your teaser, Thanos is you, is what you're saying. Bingo. That's fun. My what I wrote as my teaser proper, I guess, is that it's although I have another one coming to mind, but it's like the same kitchen where the guy was killed getting the beer, and he's in there, and Thanos is like in an apron, and he's working in the kitchen, and then someone, like the door magically moves again, and he goes over to it, and Michael Myers jumps out again, like we see in the movie, and he grabs him, and Thanos just instinctively like pummels the crap out of him, like even in his like almost like housewife attire or whatever he's wearing, and like pummels the crap out of Michael Myers, and he like steps back to the counter, and he like looks away, and he's like, oh man, and he looks back, and the body of Michael Myers is gone, and he's just like throws down his tea towel, and he's like, I gotta go get those stones. But I also like the idea of a long montage of him moving into the old Michael Myers house, and it has like, you got a friend in me, and it's like him just moving into the house,
just and like renovating the building.
Yeah,
he's like painting
the walls.
Yeah,
I like that one.
I don't know what it builds up to, but I just like the image that
he's putting down the framed photographs of him and his minions, and just
he's like on the porch, he's like putting in flowers, and he has like gardening gloves on, and he waves to the neighbors, and they're like make a scowly face, and they like close the blinds because it's like also racism or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But Randy Newman is definitely playing.
Yeah.
A lot.
He lives with him.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an odd couple. It's really the odd couple.
Yeah, that's it.
So what's your odd couple teaser for Krampus?
Krampus, it's not an odd couple teaser. What did I put for this? This is more of an idea. So again, help me flesh it out. I like the idea of Thanos. Like we see at the end of the movie, right? We see like Krampus's workshop, and he has all like the snow globes that people have been trapped in. I don't know why. I like the idea of the credits coming up, and like it's on that workshop again, and then like you just see Krampus get shoved, and then like Thanos is like smashing the snow globes, being like, so you're big, huh? Like, you think you're big? Like, you like your snow globes, huh? You a big man? And like just like breaking his stuff, and Krampus is like and he's like,
oh, that's really funny.
I find that funny.
I like that a lot.
I don't think there's any. It's just Thanos asserting dominance over someone else who thinks they're tough. I don't know what it is, but I just find it very funny.
I had the idea of still Thanos being in that workshop, but he's like the house cleaner. So it's just like
You just like him.
just like it's just like a 1 minute shot of him in like a maid's costume as he's like dusting the snow globes.
You love like
you know what?
gender diverse Thanos, don't you?
I started these podcasts being so set on making like real Thanos trailer parodies.
No.
And giving Jack so much shit for making it just like
Silly
him
nonsense.
dancing with a beach ball or something stupid. And
No,
now
but
I've just completely gone that way.
Yeah.
Well, here's mine. So Thanos, we see Thanos, and he's watching the end of Krampus, and he turns it off, and we close in on his face, and he goes, and and then we get a montage of him visiting interstellar civilizations and like handing out candy and like getting to know people really well, and and we see him like with lots of people in his house, and he's like cooking Thanksgiving turkey for all these different civilizations. And then we see him writing a letter saying, "I wish all of my family would just die." And he rips it up and throws it away. And he's actually befriended 50% of the known universe. And Krampus comes and has to drag them all back to hell.
I had a similar thing written down where it's just he's the next little Thanos boy to write to Santa about wanting his parents to go away, and then him summoning Krampus. But then so this is what I wrote. I wrote,
I want to add to that.
I wrote, fade in on large suburban house. Title card reads Christmas Eve 2021. We hear multiple voices yelling at each other as the camera pushes in through the top floor window to reveal little boy's bedroom as little purple bald Thanos comes charging through the door, yelling to his parents that he hates them. As he erupts into tears, he sits down at his desk and pens a letter to Santa asking for help. As he finishes the last word, the power goes out in the house, and we hear the bells and shackles of Krampus's robe crash land on the roof. And then I have alt ending. Little boy Thanos is writing his letter and gets so upset and angry that he snaps the pen in his hand and finds an Infinity Stone inside.
What? Like one was there, and he's like, "Oh, if I just keep breaking stuff, I'll find them." I like. Okay, I just wanted to add to that though. That first of all, I want to make an addendum that it's not just a camera up on a suburban house. It's like a space suburban house, so it like looks like it, but like it's just like painted green, and there's a UFO in the driveway. Just like
from the
just
Jetsons.
It's like cheap choices, for right away. And then I want it to be like him when he's writing the letter, and he's like, "I just want you to make them go away." And he looks at that, like, "Make all of them disappear," and he like crosses out all of them and writes half of them. I just want to add that.
And then snaps a pen.
It's not a pen.
And there's an
stone.
Infinity Stone inside.
Yeah.
Boom.
And then he cries. I need little boy Thanos to cry in this scenario.
Sure.
Okay. That's okay.
And
I want to ask why you
wear
did
a dress.
that.
Wear a dress for some reason.
Whatever you think about as you masturbate at night, that's fine.
Oh, geez.
Whoa.
And that's our episode.
Yeah. All right. On that note,
no further jokes.
And
Is that no?
I guess I don't know. We're going to sign off. Let's sign off.
Yeah.
Podcast over.
Podcast over. Cue me in again. I'll do it. Ready?
Okay. Ready?
You go and like and subscribe,
Sorry,
everyone.
everybody.
Share with your friends.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Of course.
Call to action.
No. I'm just reverting back to that
Citizen
because we're not.
VS@gmail.com. Visit our YouTube page. Tell your friends. Smash that button.
Bam.
Bam.
If you don't care, Sean, they won't.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Whatever. Go for it,
well,
Dan.
yeah, I think that if you like what you hear with our podcast, you're welcome to take part. If you have any suggestions for movie ideas, you can email them to us at citizencanevs@gmail.com or leave them in the comments section. If you are watching us on YouTube, you can also follow us on our Instagram page. It's Citizen Kane versus podcast. Right now, it's just a bunch of posters of the movies that we review, but it has a bunch of links for different places you can listen to our stuff. So if you have movie suggestions, or if you want to do your own Thanos teaser for the movies that you just listened to, it's all good. Send it all over. And thank you for listening. We really appreciate your support.
Yeah.
All right. And
Citizen Kane versus
Spoopy edition.
Spoopy.